Get ready with me to go nowhere. This is an Italian Bombshell inspired look that I've seen on TikTok and Pinterest. Let's go! I start off doing soap brows. I put some on a spoolie and I press everything in with the end of it. Then I take my finger and press everything again. And this allows the soap to adhere better to your skin. I take a thin eyebrow pencil and use the spoolie side of it to carve my brows. And I usually do 2 straight passes to achieve this little straight arched look. And I look in a trifold mirror so I can see if both sides are a little even, if that makes sense. Then I gently press into that carving. And I'm usually really careful with this so the carving doesn't move, and even if it does, that's fine. So I go in with the pencil side and I only really use this to fill in sparse areas at the front of my brow. Next, I take 2 eyebrow pens, one that's the same color as my brows for the mid brow, and I use this to map out the ends, and then I use a darker color to draw the very tip of my brows, then I refine it later. Next, I take a concealer that's my skin tone and I carve the underside of the brow so they can match up a little bit. I don't believe in the whole eyebrows are sisters, not twins. No, they're soulmates. I don't know. So I buff this out with a small dense brush and I make sure that I'm very light-handed with the brush to buff everything in. And I finish blending at the front of my brow. Then I take a sponge and blend everything in and then go in with that darker pen so I can finish the ends of my brows. And if you are using this method, remember light to dark the further you go. Next, I take a little Q-tip. This is like a makeup Q-tip, and I go in cleaning the excess soap on top of my brow. Then I blend the ends with a sponge. I take a green color correcting primer and I only apply this on my T-zone and around my nose and near my eyes, and I use the excess everywhere else. Then I start to spot conceal with a concealer that's the exact shade as my skin tone, and I usually do my forehead first. Then I take a crease brush and I go ahead and blend everything out in tiny circles like this. And if you're doing this method, literally take your time. I promise it's gonna be worth it. It gives a skin-like finish and it's really subtle. And at the moment, this is my favorite method to do for my base makeup, and it's really pretty. I take some Scotch tape to prepare my eyes for doing my eye look. Next, I take this soft brown color and I'm gonna take this color for my entire crease with a angled fluffy brush. When I'm applying this shade, I create a subtle shadow and I'm very light-handed with it. After that, I take a terracotta kind of color and I pack this from my inner eyelid to my mid eyelid and a little bit over my crease. When I start taking this to my crease, I subtly blend everything out so it doesn't look too crazy. After that, I take a neutral brown and I pat it over my outer lid first, packing that in, and then I take everything else over to the crease. And whenever I'm doing this, I try to be as light-handed as possible so not everything is so muddy. Doing this adds depth and some dimension, and I marry all of these colors together with a fluffy brush so everything looks seamless. By the way, I've had this brush since high school. I map out my liner with a brown shadow and I concentrate this brown on the outer corners of my eyes and I pat everything in before I start to blend it out like so. The tape serves as a guideline for the eyeliner for this look. Then I take a warm dark brown shadow and I stamp it along the first brown shadow. With this color, I mainly focus on the outer corner of the eyes, and with the rest of the shade, I bring everything to the middle of my eyes. And with that fluffy brush, I blend everything out and focus on the outer corners. I start to tightline my eyes with a black eyeliner, and honestly y'all, I hate tightlining, but it brings a whole look together. It's giving very sultry. And girl, I'm so exhausted after this step, like I just stabbed my eyeball for real. Next, I'm gonna take some tweezers and gently remove the tape like so. And if there's any excess, I just blend it into my bottom lash line. And guess what, y'all? We're tightlining my eyes again. And as much as I hate doing this part, this is gonna be like our little smoky eye effect. And then I take a really small flat brush and I blend everything out like so. And next I take a Q-tip and clean everything up. Then I use a brown liquid liner and I line my eyes to create a more defined wing. Honestly, shout out to the girl in middle school that taught me how to do liquid liner. Girl, you really put me onto something. I make sure the liquid liner is really dark, and if there's any excess fallout, I focus on defining the wings so it can catch it. That's one of my biggest tricks. Then I brush away everything with a clean, fluffy brush. This is my favorite part of the tutorial because I love to do a half lash instead of a full lash. I kind of find that half lashes make your eyes look bigger, and I make sure to clamp it really, really close. And now we did it, Joe. We finished doing our lashes. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm gonna apply some mascara to the inner corner of our lashes, and I do this so everything is cohesive. For the rest of the face, I spot conceal everything with that same concealer that we used earlier. I have a lot of little red spots and I have some discoloration on my face, so I find this method works best for me. Then I go in with that same crease brush that we used earlier, and again, take your time with this step, work in little tiny circles, and that's really all I have to tell y'all. I take a large sponge and I go all over my face, and this really sets the tone for the skin. The lighter that you use your sponge like this, the better the texture is going to be. It's very demure, very skin-like. I take a darker and cooler contour stick and then I go over my contour placements. Everyone's contour is different, by the way. Contour for your bone structure, not because a makeup artist on TikTok is telling you to do that. I take that big sponge again and I blend underneath that contour. Whoomp, there it is. Anyways, I take a rosy cream blush and I pat that all over my cheekbones, placing most of the pigment next to my outer corner. Remember that your blush is the first to fade. I take a lighter concealer for my under eyes to brighten them up, and then I go in with that other concealer and I focus that for my outer under eyes. I also use that lighter concealer shade to highlight my nose or contour my nose, something like that, I don't know. Taking my crease brush, I start to blend out my inner corner concealer, and then after that I begin to blend my outer concealer like so. I also do this so I can define the rest of the eye look, just like this. Look at it. Please, like, trust the process, okay? Like she's gonna eat, I promise. Anyways, I'm gonna use a small sponge and marry everything together. And to get into the outer corner, you have to be really gentle right here. Taking a small dense brush, I am going to blend out my nose contour, and I do this really gently actually. Like really, really gently. And after that, I blend everything out with a sponge, of course. Like, this is it, divas. Let's lock in. I take a powder puff and I take a little bit of pressed powder with that. Then I set my eyes like so. I honestly, for some reason, I don't like this step a lot, but my skin is oily, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Next, I'm gonna take a really loose powder and I'm going to bake, and I'm going to set the rest of my face with this. Take a cream bronzer and I go over my cheeks and my forehead and wherever the sun would naturally hit on your face. Then I dust away the loose powder like this. I go over that cream bronzer with a powdered bronzer just to give it a little oomph. And I take a shimmery pink blush and concentrate that on the apples of my cheeks. Next, I'm gonna add some bottom mascara. You can choose to skip this step if you really want, but I like to do it. And then I put gel on the tops of my brows and press it in. This is kind of my favorite part, I don't know. For my lips, I use a brown liner first with a little lip brush to blend everything in. I learned this method from Ash K. Holm, then go in with a pink liner that matches the underside of my lip. Then I put a bit of soft mocha lipstick right in the middle of my lips and blend everything out with my finger. And then I put on a clear gloss. My lips are getting juicy, I know that's right. I'm gonna seal everything in with this setting spray and fan it all out. For a glowy touch, I take a brush with some glow balm on it for my collarbones and shoulders, and boom! Done! So beautiful, it gives sultry and sexy, very Italian, very bombshell, very cute. Thanks for watching, try out this look, and you'll eat it up. I know you will. Bye!